I'm James, and I'm a PhD student in computer science, and this is what's on my bench. In my research, I focus on using wearable sensors and wearable robots to try to help people with upper limb impairments. So for example, people who've had a stroke, or people living with ALS. And we're trying to use this technology to improve their quality of life or to improve rehabilitation outcomes. What I'm most excited about in my research is using technology in order to try to give people more information or give people more support in their day-to-day lives. So I think technology is at a really great spot right now where it's very close to being able to be used in the home and to give people actionable kind of information and support that could enable them to do things that they couldn't have before. So my first object is called an IMU sensor. So that stands for inertial measurement unit. And this is a wearable sensor that's in a lot of devices like phones and smartwatches and things. As you rotate it and things like this, you can receive data that basically tells you the orientation of the sensor. So in my research, one of the things that we do with wearable sensors is we integrate them into what we call wearable robots. So these are devices that use sensors to try to figure out how a person is moving. And then we have some mechanism within the robot that can give the person some amount of support. So in the robot that I use in my research, we're trying to support someone's shoulder. We have a balloon that goes underneath their arm. And then my research is trying to figure out the best way that we can inflate and deflate the balloon underneath the person's arm to allow them to do activities of daily living. So my second object is a soft capacitive compression sensor. So this is a sensor that we built in the lab. And then what we do is we have this metallic fabric sandwiched within layers of foam. So we basically added these sensors into the robot inside of the shirt, in between the balloon and their skin. And then what happens is that when a person is trying to lower their arm, they would squish this sensor some amount. And then that allows us to have a more sensitive measurement of basically what we think the person is trying to do. The third object that I have is called a microcomputer. So this is basically the brain of the robot. So this computer lives inside of the robot, and it streams the sensor data that's inside of the shirt that the patients are wearing. It also sends the commands to the balloon in the robot. So there are valves basically inside of the robot that control how much air enters or leaves the balloon. And that's what this computer is doing, is trying to both read the information that's coming in from the sensors to figure out what's going on, what do we think the person is trying to do, and then also how should we try to support the person. And then my final object is this guitar. So in my lab, actually, there are two postdocs that are also members of a band that I'm in called Luigi's Fish Tank. And we play rock music and we write music. So this guitar actually is a travel guitar that was gifted to me by one of my lab mates because I was helping her move. So now I keep it at my desk. So ultimately, I'm hopeful that in the near future, people will be able to use wearable assistive devices like robots, either in clinics or at home, in order to augment their ability to practice movements or to do things independently.